You're looking live at Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. I'm the host, DJ I Tell You What, and I have my co-host, my dad with me, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am your father. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
And we are back with another one. And you want to say what's up to the people?
What's up to the people?
And so we're back with another one, just like we promised. Today we're going to be talking about a few things. The news came out today that Dak is going to miss the rest of the season. He is having the season-ending surgery, and we kind of knew that this was coming. We kind of knew it was going to be a 4 to 6 weeks thing, but it ended up being the rest of the season. So that definitely changes things as far as the outlook of the season and how we should go forward. And so, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of what we kind of thought might happen. So at this point, you just kind of change the way you're approaching things. I think they are going to try to win the games. I was talking to a couple of people earlier today, and people still kind of optimistic. They think they want to see Cooper Rush go out there and try to do something. So I don't think they're going to throw in the towel, but at the same time, what this could mean too is somebody in the back of their mind should just have a say so in who is going to play. So at this point, there's really no reason to be holding guys back like Flournoy, guys like that. Just let those guys get out there and play. But that's what they're going to have to decide. Are they going to just go all in and try to win, or are they going to start trying to look at some young guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, football is one thing that Stephen always says that really is true is that football is a 24/7, 365 type of deal. And when I say that, what I mean is that even in the off season, it can be day 35 of the off season. A move that you make at day 35 of the off season can determine whether you're going to win a Super Bowl the next year or not. And so, same thing goes with decisions that are made in season. The decisions that you make in season can drastically affect the outcome of next year's season. So, with that in mind, you have to tank properly. You can lose a lot of games, but win that one game, and that one game can take you from picking number 3 to picking number 7. And that number 3rd pick could be Patrick Mahomes, and the number 7 pick could be Taco. So you really have to really be careful, and you really have to come up with a plan on going forward on what you have to do. You can't be up in the air with it. If you're going to lose and you're not going to go all in, you need to go ahead and lose. And if you are going to go all in, you got to go all in. So what I would do is I would lose. That's what I would want to do. The season is already shot. We got a lot of injuries. We got people that are missing the whole season. Deron Bland has missed a lot. Sam Williams out for the season. Dak gone for the season. CD just had an AC joint sprain. Micah is healthy now, and Tank is still missing. Zach Martin's not playing good because he's injured. Tanner still hasn't looked good because he came back from injury too early, and he hasn't looked good. So I would definitely go to the route of just giving my young guys some reps, seeing who we're going to keep next year. This is a 1-year type of deal. A lot of our coaches are on 1-year deals. A lot of our players are on 1-year deals. So that'll be just what, in my opinion, that's what I would do. I would just keep it like that. Try to get our young guys some reps, see who's going to be here next year, see what Flournoy got, see what Mingo got, see what these guys got. Put Trey Lance out there, make him play. Get ready to pull Zach Martin in them. That's what I would do. But I don't know what they're going to do, but that's what I would do. And then I would make sure that, because my philosophy is if you're going to pick high, I would pick a quarterback. I would go after Shador or Cam. It's very possible. And you would just sit them next year behind Dak, who's going to be coming off of a season-ending injury. and his contract is like a 3 or 4 year type of deal, so he's guaranteed money is gonna be done in a couple years. I sit him behind that, and with that, even if you want to argue that, oh well, you can just pick another player because you were going to pick a wide receiver or you're going to pick any a lineman or whatever, you can still pick that because what if you would have been picking 24th or 25th like you intended to pick? You thought that this team was going to be good enough to pick 24th or 25th. So with your high second round pick now, that could be the equivalent of your 24th, 25th pick. So you really ain't missing out on nothing. Now it was stupid to trade a fourth round pick because that's really like a third round pick. But you got a lot of comp picks this year. So a normal team, a regular team, would just take this year and they will use this year to catapult themselves into the future. You're going to have a lot of cap space next year. You're going to have a new regime, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, possibly new defense coordinator. You got a lot of picks. So you could do it all. You're gonna have a lot of money in free agency, unused, on cap space, unused. So a
So
normal,
what could work is if they picking really high, so they don't have a fourth round pick, they could take their third round pick, which would be a high pick, trade back, pick up another third, and pick up a fourth. So that's how you would do it. But I think the next couple of games, I think they're gonna really try to win the game. Like especially tomorrow,
mm-hmm.
the Eagles, they're gonna do everything they can to win the game. And if they win the game tomorrow, who we play after the Eagles?
The Texans.
And so you got to look at it like the next two games. What if they just fool around and win those games, which is possible? To the game tomorrow is really gonna set the whole thing up. If they come out here tomorrow and somehow win this game, that's gonna change the organic tanking. Then they gonna bring the Houston Texans in, like we talked about earlier. That's kind of a rivalry game. So the next two games, your theory of how they're gonna approach it, that's what we're looking at. It's just gonna see how those next two games go, and then it'll be kind of on from there. And I was talking to your uncle Eric tonight. So our theory is Dion. I was watching Shador today. Dion is really the type of uh, player that understands that the NBA and the NFL, they're kind of merging together as far as a lot of these NBA players, when they decide they don't want to play for a team or they want to go to a certain team, they can make it happen. So if Jerry and Dion kind of get together and say, we want to make this happen, there's a way you can get Shador on this team, even if you're not picking in the top five, because it's been done in the NFL before. The first person to do it was John Elway. So back in the day, the Colts had the first pick, and he just told them, well, him and his dad, ironically, they told the Colts, "Do not draft us. We're not coming to your team." So
Mm-hmm.
they did a trade with Denver, and then Archie Manning, the dad, Eli was going to go to the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
So Archie Manning told the Chargers, "Do not draft my son. He's not playing for you."
Mm-hmm. Hey, I
So
gotta, I gotta step. Keep talking. I gotta step away for just like 30 seconds. Just keep talking.
okay, okay. So
Yeah. So
Eli and
go ahead.
Eli ended up going to the Giants, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's precedent for this happening. So what we could see if Dion wants Shador to come to the Cowboys, there is a way to do it now. It takes two to tango. So we got to see if Jerry's willing to play alone. Now, what we've been hearing is that Jerry really didn't want to sign Dak. He was the one that was kind of antsy about the whole thing. So it's a possibility that they could, you know, decide to take Shador and play him behind Dak for a couple of years, and then, Dak as he's kind of winding down. The concern that we run into with Dak right now, Romo started getting injured toward the end of his career. So what you could see is with Dak, it's just some of the injury things come up, but but it's a possibility that that can all kind of work out. And people will say, well, they just paid Dak $60 million. you can do anything with the cap, and you can move the cap around however you want to do it. If they want
Yeah,
to make this happen, they can. Just ask yourself this: if the Kansas City Chiefs, the 49ers, uh, the Packers, the Bills, the Ravens, if they needed a quarterback, would they make it happen? And those teams would. They wouldn't say, "Oh, we got a cap issue here." They would just figure out a way to get it done. So there's a way to do it.
yeah. I mean, look at how
You
many
back?
look at yeah. Look how many teams. Look at all these other teams. You think all these other teams that just paid their quarterback and all of a sudden something's going wrong and they got to get rid of them. It's a big deal. It's not. It's not. The cap is only a part of the Cowboys. They're the ones that try to make it seem like the cap is another part of the franchise, like it's its own thing. It's not only enough pie to go around and all of this kind of stuff. That doesn't mean if whatever you want to do with the cap, you can do it. Whatever it is, the cap is never a reason why you can't do something. It has nothing to do with wins or losses. If you want to win, you can have it's not rocket science. They have
And I'll do you one better, not to cut you off, Steven. If you had told them 2 or 3 years ago that somebody in your organization is going to make a trade to the 49ers for a quarterback that they had, and we're going to pay him millions of dollars, he's going to come on your team and not even play, he's going to be a third string quarterback, Steven would have told you that the cap, they cannot do that because of the cap.
yeah.
They would have told you the cap is not going to let us do that. We can't allocate that for the cap.
hmm
So yeah, there you go. So that's exactly what they did. So they can't tell you that they can't get another quarterback high in this draft
And then on
because
top of that, this lets you know, to add on to your statement. They paid Trey Lance. Well, how much was his contract in total? How much did he get guaranteed?
I'm not sure you had it at one time. I think you said that he was making 20-25 million this
I
year.
think that's what his actual
Cap hit.
no his actual contract was. I think he only got paid like a certain amount of money. I think it was like five. I think he making five this year, but
Okay.
anyways, just take what Trey Lance is making plus the fourth round pick that they gave him. You could, if you're gonna waste that, just totally waste it. They could have did that on a running back. What's stopping you from doing that on a running back this year? What's stopping you from doing that for any type of player? So
Yeah.
they like to come out and say, "Oh well, we didn't sign no free agents because we signed Mingo because of his cap, because of his contract. It's a free contract. So we didn't sign Devontae Adams. When he came on the show, the first thing he said was, "Yeah, but those guys they have a big contract numbers and." They're older and they have big contract numbers. It's just like that's just the way of the world. It's just like I hate to say it like this, but it's just like it everyone has a cap. It's just like everyone has to eat. It does not matter. It does not matter. You have to eat, or you will die. You have to eat. So regardless, you have to spend the money, and you have it to spend. You can just look at the salary cap allocations right now on Spotrac or on overthecap.com. The Cowboys are not the only team on there. It's all 32 teams, and all 32 teams, there are several, a lot that are in worse cap situations than us, and they all making moves. They
Yep.
all they all making moves. So it doesn't mean anything. The cap.
Baltimore, they signed Lamar.
hmm
They ain't stopped making moves.
That has nothing
Uh,
to do with them
yeah.
signing Derrick Henry or not.
No. They
Yeah.
done made some real smart moves after signing Lamar.
Look at
Um,
the 49ers. The 49ers do it every year. They go and sign somebody. Look, they gave Patrick Mahomes $500 million. They probably been the busiest since they did that.
and the 49ers, they going to make a decision to sign Brock Purdy. And once they sign Brock Purdy, then they're gonna go right back out to do what they normally do. They're gonna participate in free agency. They're gonna make trades when they have to.
You
So
think
that's
y'all
what's up.
think y'all think them signing Brandon Ayuk is gonna stop them from signing Brock Purdy?
No. Mm-mm.
Not a chance. because it doesn't matter. You know, essentially what the Cowboys is saying, and I keep saying this. I haven't formulated this thesis or this opinion yet to make this hypothesis to make it make perfect sense. But essentially, what the Cowboys is telling you is that they can only have a certain amount of good players. Just essentially, what they're telling you is that when they draft players in the draft, when it comes to paying those players the second contract, if they good, they can't pay him the second contract because we already got Dak, Micah, and CD. So what'll happen next year if you draft four straight Hall of Fame players? You mean to tell me you're not gonna be able to sign them all? It was second contracts?
Well, I do you one better. They've
No.
actually signed their draft picks and second contracts like Steele, Michael
Gallup.
Gallup. What they're doing is they're signing their players to a second deal. They just signing the wrong player. They signed Jalen Smith to a second contract, Gallup, Terrence Steele. So
Someone needs to come for them, and someone in the media needs to flat out signing, saying that we like our guys is saying that we don't want to win, because there is no way that you like your guys if they're not performing up to expectations. You can't like how can you like your guys when your running backs are the worst in the league? You can't like your guys then. How do you like your guys when your whole draft is a bust? Last year, the year before last, that whole draft class was a bust, and you like your guys. So every time that they said we like our guys last season, we should have been telling them, what do you like about these guys? Because they're not playing. How can you like someone and they're not even playing? So all of these draft picks that Dan Quinn picked, Rob Marinelli picked, they're not even on this. They're not even in this organization anymore. Some of them not even in the NFL.
so did anybody pick up Nashawn Wright?
I'm not sure. Probably not. Why would they? I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's just like every time they think we're dumb. That's what's happening. Because it's just like saying that we like our guys. It's just like, well, if you like your guys, but you have positions of need like safety, running back, wide receiver, and you like your guys, well, that's just not gonna get it done. You have to like other guys. This is the NFL. You have to like the whole thing. You can't just pick apples from one tree when you have 10 trees available. Why would you pick from one tree?
And I identified a player that I really like. So shout out to Vach and Brian Brothers. He talked about this receiver from Auburn last night. He is like a impact player. He's a difference maker. So if we can't get one of the quarterbacks, they have to take a receiver. We need playmakers on this team. We need guys that when they get onto the field, you got to figure out a way to stop them. If not, they're gonna just take it to the house. Those are the kind of players that we need. We don't need any more big X receivers, guys that they run that post route, they on a slant. We need guys that at any point in the game they can catch a pass and they can just go coast. That's what we need. And so I'm really curious to see what Mingo looks like. If he's another big body power forward type receiver, I'm gonna be disappointed. I want to see him with the ball in his hands. What he does on the move. Can he outrun some people? But you made a good point last night when you said the offense matters too. So you got to get guys open so they can show their skills. In our offense, what's happening is you can't really show your skills because every time you catch a pass, the defender is like right there.
Can't show your skills with that. That's the only reason why we like Jalen. Why Jalen Tolbert is having success is because, or I won't say is having success, but that's one of the main reasons why Jalen Tolbert is popping out on the screen is because every catch he make is a contested catch, and so he's making contested catches that's a wild factor. Like the catch that he made against when he won the game the other day. When he made that catch to win the game against the Steelers, what was unique about that catch was that the receiver was that the cornerback was draped all over him, and he had to catch that ball, and he had to and he showed how strong his hands was, because he had to extend his arms like that and hold that ball because the corner was draped all over him. So, if you can't, uh if that's a part, if that has to be a part of your game in the NFL to have success, you're not gonna have a very good team. You need to have some of these plays. When I watch Jonathan Mingo highlights, I really can't get a good feel for how dynamic he is, because, or how good he is, because every time he caught the ball, he was wide open. He just caught the ball and walked on out of
In
bounds
college or in NFL?
in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah.
He'd be wide
Um,
open. They just toss him the ball, and you know what I'm saying? We know how good Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are because of their rack and their yak. They be catching the ball in wide open space, and after they catch the ball in wide open space, they get gone. It's just like you said about CD. When CD catch the ball, it's always contested, but that's what makes him so good, because it's always contested, and he still gets rack and yak after the catch.
and the crazy thing is, last year you got to look at our season. We was 12-5. CD was all pro. CD last year, our offense was getting him wide open, and
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It's like our
What
offense.
happened is the teams adjusted to it. I mean, they understood that. For one, our offense regressed. That's number one.
Yeah,
Our line regressed. That's number two.
yeah.
And then our running backs regressed. That's number three. And then, so now, smart defensive coordinator says, okay, all they got is CD and Ferguson.
Hmm.
And so all we got to do is shadow the coverage to wherever CD is. Just double him, triple him, and make them do what they're not good at. And when that happens, we don't score. We can't move the ball. We can't even get, and then you have your play caller who is in la la land. So on 4th and 1, he does a reverse.
Hmm.
So I mean, how do you call a reverse? A jet sweep reverse on 4th and 1 when you got Hunter Lukey and Ezekiel Elliott on your team.
So I did see there was some indication that Zeke is going to be playing tomorrow, and then they elevated Jalen Moreno Cropper. And you know what? I'm thinking that if I just go back, I would have rather have had Jalen Moreno Cropper playing than Brooks.
This is a ongoing mystery with the Cowboys. They always do this. They always have players that flash in training camp, players that flash in preseason, and then when it comes to the season, we just don't see them at all. Like,
And he was a guy, Cropper.
mhm.
He was a guy that had the quick twitch that would like catch the ball, and he was just quick and kind
If
of.
I'm not mistaken, he was kind of. If I'm not mistaken, he was fighting Toba for the second spot, right? Or was it Jalen Brooks, or was it all three
That
of them?
they like Jalen Brooks from first day of camp and all throughout. They liked him, and I don't get it. He wasn't better, in my opinion. He didn't have a better camp than Cropper, um,
Nah, it's
and
just like, what's his name, Hall. It just makes no sense on why we haven't seen this.
uh,
This guy gets 2 or 3 interceptions in the preseason, and we don't see him again,
that's the other thing that I saw somebody tweet that they were elevating another corner, but it wasn't Hall.
which is just
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, so they do some weird stuff with personnel, but yeah, this game tomorrow, you should start seeing guys like at this point. There's absolutely no reason not to play Wanye and just start him a few games at safety.
Now
Because
this is just me personal. I don't want to interrupt you, but you see, you have a guy in your own backyard that went to University of North Texas, which is in Denton, which is 30, 45 minutes away from the stadium. He's a homegrown kid. Wouldn't it make any pops off the screen? He's very, he's one of those kids that's like he's like the Everson Walls type, the percentage of you making it big into the NFL is slim to none. It's really not happening. A lot of players don't get picked from teams like University of North
hmm
Texas, and it's a childhood dream to play for the Cowboys. You from Dallas? Wouldn't you just elevate him? Just
yeah,
just to do it, just to make a dream come true, and to help your team. But they don't do that. They don't do that kind of stuff. And that
yeah.
just makes me upset. But um let's talk about what the Cowboys need to do as far as the offseason go. As far as how they hire, that's what people are starting to talk about it a little bit, but we've been talking about it for a long time. So, how they hire, who they hire, what needs to go into that, in your opinion?
So you had a pretty interesting list last night that I had never seen before. And
Mm-hmm.
so, one of the things we've been talking about, my background, the company that I work for, with their the organization, the way they hire, the way they, kind of innovate. They look at a lot of different things, when they're trying to make change. And so one of the things that we think is hurting the Cowboys for the last 28 years is when they hire, they don't have good hiring practices. And so there are other teams that do. And so you found a list that I thought was really compelling. It shows you what these other organizations and teams are doing to contrast what Dallas is doing, and it's pretty stunning. So just tell the folks what you're looking at there.
So what we're looking at is what made me pull this list up was the fact that I wanted to see what teams all have hired GMs within the last 5 or 10 years, and how those teams are doing. And so when I pulled up this list right here, it's a transaction tracker. And what this tells you is who's been hired, and it also tells you who's been interviewed. So I want everyone to look at, like, the Dallas Cowboys. We have one name here. Okay. So we hire Mike Zimmer. Now, when you look at the majority of the other teams that are like rebuilding, they all have interviewed and hired multiple people, you know, but the that was just the icing on the cake. But let's look at the interview. That's the most important part. Is the interview. So this is the head coach and GM interviews. This is who the teams in the NFL have interviewed for head coaching and GM jobs. We can
When
just start.
when
Go
they
ahead.
had when they had recent openings, these are the interviews, the people that they did. So that's the Atlanta Falcons. So you can see they interviewed Joe Brady, which is one of the hot coordinators. Now Joe Brady was a coordinator when LSU won a national title with Joe Burrows, Jamar Chase, and Jefferson. Brian Callahan, they interviewed him. He ended up getting the Titans job. They interviewed Belichick. They interviewed Aaron Glenn, Jim Harbaugh, Ben Johnson, Brian Johnson. Just look at the list of people they interviewed. Now they ended up, well, you got our Antonio Pierce, Bob Slowick, Vrabel. They interviewed all of these coaches. They settled on Raheem Morris. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is the people that the Atlanta Falcons interviewed. Now, Carolina Panthers, they're not looked at as a real primo organization, but look at what they did. They
Mm-hmm.
interviewed Brian Callahan, Dave Canales, who they ended up hiring. They interviewed Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, who ended up going to Seattle. Todd Monken, he got the coordinator job for the Ravens. They interviewed Raheem Morris, Dan Quinn, Bob Slowick. This is what teams do when they have openings. And who is this next one coming up?
This is the general manager interview request. They
Okay.
wanted to change GMs.
So those are all of the GM interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Raiders are probably the closest to us. So they probably wouldn't be good to look at. So
Mm-mm.
the Raiders, they haven't really been doing good. Now let's look at the Chargers. Okay. They interviewed Bill Callahan, Leslie Frazier, Aaron Glenn, Jim Harbaugh, Ben Johnson. These names keep coming up. Mike McDonald, Todd Monken. They interviewed Kellen Moore. They interviewed Raheem Morris, Dan Quinn. David Shaw was the Stanford coach. Vrabel and Steve Wilkes. Okay, we could really stop right there. What you're seeing, folks, is this is what teams have been doing basically for the last 28 years, certainly here recently. Now go to Dallas. Whenever the Cowboys have an opening, this is what they do.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I passed them already.
What you're going to see is when Dallas has an opening, they don't have this type of extensive interview. What they
Mm-mm.
do is they would typically go, well, first of all, they're going to interview somebody that other teams don't even look at. So we had a defensive coordinator opening, folks. Look at what Dallas did. Now you just saw what we went through with the other teams. Dallas interviewed Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan, and Mike Zimmer. What you notice is that all the list that we just went through for other openings, these three guys right here, no other organization interviewed them. Nobody.
Nobody.
And every time the Cowboys have a head coaching job, every time they have a coordinator position, this is what they do.
And now I could go back to 2023 or 22, whenever I can go back to whenever they were looking for head coaches. The Cowboys was. What you're gonna see is Mike McCarthy. Who else did they interview? Mike McCarthy.
We can't even remember who they interviewed because it really wasn't a process.
Right. The Rooney Rule, Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, nobody is interviewing Marvin Lewis for anything. They interviewed Marvin Lewis, Mike McCarthy. It might have been another person, but
I think it was Rex Ryan. Remember?
Did they interview Rex Ryan? They interviewed Rex Ryan this past offseason for the coordinator.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, the point is, Rex Ryan, Ron Rivera, these guys are not showing up on any of these lists. And every time he hires a coach, he does this. When Jimmy left, not Jimmy, when Barry Switzer left, he interviewed Chan Gailey and he interviewed Terry Donahue. Terry Donahue was Troy Aikman's coach at UCLA. And you know what happened?
What's that?
He interviewed Terry Donahue and he interviewed Chan Gailey. Everybody knew that Terry Donahue was a slam dunk because he had been a successful head coach at UCLA. He was Troy Aikman's old coach. So even though the process wasn't good, Terry Donahue was the hire.
Mm-hmm.
He got into a interview session with Terry Donahue, and he basically started telling Terry Donahue that I'm going to hire you, but I'm really going to be calling the shots, and I'm going to be doing what I normally do. But Terry Donahue was like, no, if you hire me, I want these things written in the contract, just normal coach stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, he hired Chan Gailey. Okay, so nobody had Chan Gailey as a head coach and quarterback, so he hired Chan Gailey. Okay, then when Chan Gailey left, he hired Dave Campo. He didn't interview any other coaches, none, zero. He hired Dave. Now, I always put an asterisk by Dave Campo name because Dave Campo was never really given a shot to do a good job because of the way they handle the cap. They basically said, we're not even drafting players. We're not doing no free agents. So Dave Campo didn't get a shot. I still believe right today, if Dave Campo had been the coach of the teams that Jason Garrett had, we probably would have won some more games and been in the NFC Championship game. So I don't include Dave. But anyway, so after Dave, of course, he hired Bill Parcells. He didn't interview anybody else for that job.
Now, go ahead, finish.
So he met with Bill Parcells at an airport hangar. Nobody even knew they was meeting. So he hired Bill Parcells. So he didn't do a hiring search. He didn't interview other coaches. After Bill Parcells left, was it Wade Phillips next?
Yeah.
So when he hired Wade, he interviewed two coaches. It was Wade and Norv Turner. And Norv Turner was the hire. And then he told Norv, I want you to have Jason Garrett call and plays. And Norv Turner said, no, fam, I'm out. So
not doing that.
He hired Wade Phillips, and Wade Phillips had been fired by the Denver Broncos as their head coach. He had been fired by the Buffalo Bills as their head coach. He didn't interview anybody else. So after Wade, he already had his coach in the waiting. The coach in the waiting never works, and you don't probably know about this. This is the OG Cowboy thing. You can look at college. You can look at NFL. Anytime you have a coach and then you have another guy that you say, this is going to be my next coach, the football guys don't like that. It never works.
Never works.
And he did that with Jason Garrett. He undermined Wade Phillips. Then he hired Jason. There was no hiring process.
And that just took 10 years of our life, people.
and and Jerry will never get that 10 years back.
Now I want to show them this real quick before you finish. Now we just seen how easy it was to find who was interviewed
Mm-hmm.
by these teams. Okay, so I just typed it in on Google, and this is what popped up when I typed it in on Google. I typed in who all did the Dallas Cowboys interview when they hired McCarthy. AI tells you there isn't much information about who the Dallas Cowboys interviewed when they hired Mike McCarthy as head coach. Now, I actually went and found another article on Inside called Inside the 8 Days it took Dallas Cowboys to hire a head coach. 8 days, people. And then on 8 days, I scrolled down a little bit, was reading a little bit. It says, it says basically it's saying that they didn't interview nobody but Mike McCarthy and Marvin Lewis. That's all it says.
Yeah,
It says
that's it.
that yeah, it says that the high-ranking source said the Cowboys did not reach out to Oklahoma's Lincoln Riley. Didn't even reach
Mm-hmm.
out to him. And then on Friday, January 3rd, Marvin Lewis arrived for the first interview. And then it says after that, his interview carried over into the next morning before McCarthy's arrival later in the day. So that lets you know that they interviewed Marvin Lewis, and on that same day, Mike McCarthy arrived. He spent the night at Jerry's house, and he was hired.
And one of the things that we talk about too, this is an OG story. So everybody knows the Cowboys and the Steelers, they had the same head coach for like 20 some years. It was Chuck Noll and Tom Landry. And then the Steelers hired Cowher. I think Cowher stayed for about 10 years probably. And then after that, the Steelers had a head coach in waiting. I want to say I keep thinking you might actually be able to Google it. I think it was Mike Munchak. Um, and so he was like their coach in waiting, their guy that everybody wanted to have that job. So Mike Munchak was an offensive lineman, like an All Pro, and he was like making plans to be the Steelers coach. But what they did, they went through the hiring process. So they interviewed 7 coaches, I believe, and they lined all of these coaches up just like we saw on our list we saw earlier. They interviewed 7 coaches, just going through the process. And there was a guy they interviewed that blew their socks off. And that guy was Mike Tomlin.
And I heard he was the last out of the
He
people.
was the last interview.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they had their hand picked favorite, even though they probably had some guys rated better than him, they used the interview process to select the coach. They interviewed a guy that really wasn't even on their radar, and he ended up being the correct hire. And so, one of the things that people talk about with the Cowboys is why haven't they made an NFC Championship game over the years? And people will say, well, we can't hire a no name coach. That's how it's done. That's how you got Mike Tomlin. Nobody knew who Sean McVay was, but you know how Sean McVay got hired because he was just part of a group of people that came in and interviewed. That's how you hire. That's what great organizations do. So if they don't, if we go into this off season, Cowboy fans, and you see them just decide they're going to hire somebody and don't go through this project process and don't interview 7 or 8 coaches, don't interview 7 or 8 defensive coordinators, then you're looking at what you've been looking for the last 28 years. And um, if they just decide they're going to hire Bill Belichick and don't interview anybody else, we might have some problems because concern I have with Bill Belichick is that he's old and you don't know what old coaches are going to have. He's going to sound good.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the games, week in and week out, he's just going to look like he don't look the same.
I want to show the fans this real quick. I want to show y'all something based off what my dad just said. Now, when it comes to not knowing who coaches are, you say you can't hire a no name, which is just absolutely false. Uh, so I want everyone to look at the 2013 Washington Redskins staff. Let's just look at them. And now y'all tell me what y'all see. I want you to pay attention to this. Look who the executive vice president is. Mike Shanahan. Look who the head coaches is. Mike Shanahan. Look who the assistant head coach is, Bob Turner. Now let's look at these coordinators. Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur is Green Bay's head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Mike McDonald.
Mike
Okay.
McDaniel. He was a
Yeah,
receivers coach.
Mike McDaniel, receivers coach. Sean Mc,
He's a coach of the Dolphins.
he's the coach of the Dolphins. Sean McVay. We all
Tight
know
ends coach.
he's a tight ends coach, guys. Let's go look at the defense. Jim Haslett.
He's the legendary OG Jim
Okay.
Haslett.
Who we see here? Bob Slowick. Okay. He's a linebackers coach, y'all. Raheem Morris. Where is he, guys? He's in Atlanta. He was a defensive backs coach. We got a defensive back assistant, Bob Slowick. So all of these coaches came from this staff. And we could see that we didn't know, no one knew who these guys was. They are all making headway. They all on their way. This guy has a championship. This guy has an NFC championship. Does Matt LaFleur have a championship?
I think he went to the NFC Championship game and lost.
Went to the NFC championship game and lost. Raheem Morris, Bob Slowick, they on their way.
Raheem Morris has a ring as an assistant coach.
So we don't want to hear that. And then don't you all find it surprising that none of these guys has ever interviewed for a position in the Cowboys organization. None of them.
And I do you one better. This list you're looking at right here, when the Cowboys hired Jason Garrett was not on a list like this. Nobody else had interviewed him for anything.
Mm-mm. The closest you're going to get to that is when Sean Payton was on our staff and then he left and won a championship.
That if you go back to Bill Parcells' career as a coach, this list you're looking at right here, he has a list like this. His assistants were Sean Payton. He had the Buccaneers. Todd Bowles, or Belichick is the VIP, the top of the top, was his top assistant, his top lieutenant, as they say. He had Belichick. He had Sean Payton. Todd Bowles was one of his coaches. So Bill Parcells has the tree.
Aaron Glenn was one of his coaches.
Aaron Glenn. And what
Mike
Jerry
Zimmer,
and Mike Zimmer. What Jerry has done, the weirdest thing is that Jerry has never gone to these other coaches that he had under his roof and build from there. He's always gone outside the tree. So you had all of these coaches in your building. They all went other places. And I told you a couple of weeks ago, I have like a top 10 list of Jerry mistakes. On my top 10 is when Jimmy left, the next coach should have came off the Jimmy tree, and the coach that he should have hired was the name escapes me at the moment, but there were several. Norv had already left, so that was another mistake they made. They let Norv go to Washington. They should have kept him. They should have pretty much kind of made a way for him to stay, but there was a defensive coach on the staff. That's who should have got the job over Barry, but Jerry didn't want to go and hire anybody off Jimmy's staff. He wanted to do his own thing, so he hired Barry Switzer.
So, he on the stage holding the trophy, talking about we did it our way.
And then when Bill Parcells left, Jerry should have looked to hire somebody that had been on Bill Parcells' tree. He didn't do that. He went and hired Wave. So people want to look at what's happening with our organization the last 28 years. It's all right there. And Jerry had multiple opportunities. If you go back and pull up another list, you're going to see in one of those other lists that Steve Spagnuolo, the Kansas City Chiefs defensive coordinator, he was on a list just like you're looking at.
Oh, yeah, the rest of them, we got to find that year, because if that's just Spagnuolo on there, they offensive coordinator, Joe Brady on there.
But the reason Jerry is not having success hiring is because He doesn't use this process.
Don
That's
Shula. No, 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 not Don Shula. I'm tripping. Go ahead, keep talking.
Jerry doesn't use this. It's we used to call it back in the day. We used to call it best practices. There's a best practice for hiring, and he just doesn't use it. They've done this, so he needs somebody to come in that's not making millions of dollars and just go through a presentation and just show him what you and I just showed him. This
And
is
let's be
what
clear,
you need to
guys.
change.
He has not been successful after Jimmy left at nothing besides hiring Bill Parcells. That was it. That was it. Every other coach that he's hired outside of Bill Parcells has been a flat out dud.
Well, Bill Parcells, I think, was a success. A lot of people don't give Parcells a lot of
That's why
success
I
here.
said
I do.
outside of Bill Parcells, he
Yeah.
hasn't had any success.
And what he did with Bill Parcells, he used well, he didn't interview a lot of coaches then, but it's Bill Parcells. So, you went and got a legendary coach, but what Bill Parcells did, what you and I just looked at, that's what he does. Bill Parcells has a Rolodex just like that. So he knows. That's how he got, Todd Bowles and Sean Payton and
So
uh
who were you talking about? Butch Davis, John Blake, Dave
it was
Campo.
Butch Davis should have got the job
Okay.
when Jimmy left.
And we all seen that Dave Campo came in later. He wasn't supposed to be a head coach.
And like I said, the reason I defend Dave Campo is because Dave Campo was a key coach on their championship years when they won the first two Super Bowls. He was a cornerbacks coach, and the last one they won, he was the coordinator. Uh, so Dave has a winning pedigree. They didn't do Dave right with the roster, but
And just like that, Wade wasn't supposed to be a head coach, but he was a good
no,
coordinator. He
he was
left
a good
here
coordinator. Yeah,
and won a Super Bowl as a coordinator. What, for the Rams, right?
Denver.
For Denver. Okay,
Yeah,
so Denver brought him back.
he was your classmate's coach.
Vaughn.
Yeah, he was the coordinator when Vaughn won.
Okay.
But again, Jerry, it's just plain as day. Look, I'm not making millions of dollars, but they could take me out to the Star next week, and I can show them just what we showed them. And if you just fix this, you're gonna fix part of what's wrong with your franchise. It's really
Absolutely.
it's all right there. And we could do the same exact thing with other things that they do. We could just do a presentation and say, this is what happens when you take injured players with high draft picks. Somebody like Jalen Smith, somebody like
LVE.
LVE, Damone Clark. Three players you took that had significant injuries. You could have got those same players with a fifth round pick, but you used a second on them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody told them that LVE was going to be a 2-year player because of his neck,
Mm-hmm.
and they drafted him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
Jalen, uh,
he wasn't even gonna be drafted.
he would have been drafted probably like in the fourth or fifth round, and then he kind of rebuilt his career, but they should have just said, hey, you came in, you played 4 years, and you got your you had an NFL career. But what they do, they sign him to a $36 million contract.
They just did Terrence Steele like that, and they finna cut, and he gonna be a post June 1 cut.
Yeah, they probably gonna have to move Guyton back to right tackle,
And that's gonna
Oh.
fix that.
and that's gonna open up another position though. And what
You
I don't
gotta
want
use
to
free agency.
what I don't want to see the Cowboys do, and this is a shout out to Landlord. Landlord says if they take another lineman with a high pick, he's gonna like have to be sedated.
Landlord.
But
That's my guy.
and he's right. The Cowboys should not spend another high pick on a lineman. Now let me say this: I always say take the best player available. So if you're drafting seventh and it's a Hall of Fame right guard there, then hey, just like they did with Zach Martin. He was a Hall of Fame player. He was the best player there. You can't never go wrong with that.
And for all of those people that think that Jerry runs everything, that's a prime example of that. He don't, okay? Because he didn't want to take Zach Martin.
He don't. But what Jerry does every now and then, Jerry kind of tells them, hey, y'all might think I'm old, y'all might think I'm not paying attention, but I'm gonna show y'all a little something. I'm gonna pick up the phone and I'm calling
Make
the
a
49ers. I'm getting
yeah.
Trey Lance. Y'all,
Hmm.
Steven and Will McClay, they was at you know,
Happy hour
happy hour having lunch somewhere, and they came
on
back
the
to the
on the
office.
yacht, on the
Yeah,
yacht, Nick on the yacht. So, yeah, yeah. So it is. It's not a. We don't have to play the blame game with the Cowboys because it's a collaborative effort, and it is Jerry, it is Steven, it is Will McClay. That's the illusion that they put out there to make it seem like we can't figure out who to blame for all of this,
hey,
but we.
we got to point out something not to cut you up. I forgot that list you had up earlier.
Mm,
They had the same type of list for general managers. They had all of the people that's interviewed for a GM job. Will
mm.
McClay didn't had an interview for none of those
Oh
jobs.
yeah, let me show that. Because yeah, they had that on there. You are
N-
absolutely right.
Now, what Will McClay and his team are probably going to tell you is that they let teams know he wasn't interested in being interviewed. But
They wasn't interested no way.
yeah, so
Um, but yeah, so
this is this Tankathon.
yeah, this tankathon, and this is my for me, y'all. This is my like this is my thing right now. Well, this is my favorite website. But
They
my
got Travis
thing,
Hunter as the #1 pick.
I'm trying to tell you. That's why I was telling you earlier. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. This is gonna change, y'all. By the way, well, this is gonna change. Okay, is it because it wasn't. This wasn't even here earlier today. But Travis Hunter, this is what I was telling you about the quarterbacks being picked fifth and well, it should be right after him. Oh yeah, Cam right here. They're going fifth and sixth. See, this is not accurate. Shador is not going to college. It's not going to the Browns. It's not happening, and he's not going into any of these either. So the closest he gonna go is now if this was Shador and this was Cam, that's what I think is gonna happen. And I'm gonna tell y'all
Mm.
something. When Cam,
Your uncle Eric said he didn't think Shadur would want to play for the Raiders.
I don't. Well, we've been seeing him with the Raiders owner every other. We
Yeah.
always see them popping out, and the Raiders is a great it's a great organization. They in California, they in
No,
Vegas.
yeah.
They
Um,
they they a hop, skipping, and jump away from Hollywood. They in Vegas. They got a brand new what
mm,
they could turn their whole organization around with
that's what I
Shador.
told him.
I would love to play for the Raiders if I was Shador. He got the black and the silver. Come on now, he gonna want to play for them. And then um, Cam gonna go to New York, and when Cam go to New York, it's gonna be on and popping. It's gonna be the Redskins. The Giants are gonna be good again. They're gonna have Malik
So
Neighbors and Cam.
so this is where I say this is where Jerry can, strike back. Jerry should strike back because the rumors are that Jerry didn't want to sign Dak, didn't want to give him the 60 million. So Jerry can strike back right here and just tell them that we're gonna figure out a way to
Get
make this
Shador.
happen and get your door. And Dion understands that the NFL, like I said, he knows the history of the league. He knows John Elway did this. He knows Eli did it. And Dion has also been watching these NBA players like Kevin Durant, LeBron. These NBA players, when they decide that they don't want to be on a team any longer and they want to go to team X, Y, and Z, it happens. So when Dion says my son is not going to this team. We want him on this team. Dion knows he can make that happen.
Now, I am just like all the rest of the fans. I don't want the Cowboys to draft another Michigan player until my son is in college. But
Vach and Broadus like that guy.
oh my God, I like both of them. I'm finna pull them up. I'm finna chop. I'm telling you, man. If he's here, you draft him, and you don't, man. You don't even wait. It ain't even no. This boy here is a beast. This is who they thought Mozzie was gonna be. It's not, and this is him. In all likelihood, we're not gonna pick high enough to get him. Oh my goodness, the way he did that was just we ain't. Hey,
Well,
hey.
I would say this. I'm not down on Michigan players because my thing is Chad Hutchinson. He jumped off the screen and every when I watch the games live, is it Chad Hutchinson?
Chad
That's the
Hutchinson.
quarterback. What's the Hutchinson that just played for the
Yeah,
what's
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson's name that plays for Detroit? What's
Yeah,
his first name? Is it
uh,
Chad? No,
I
that's
think
the
it is.
quarterback.
Uh, uh,
But the Michigan defensive end that's playing for the Lions that just broke his leg.
Aiden.
Aiden Hutchinson. Okay.
Aiden.
When I watched him play for Michigan, he jumped off the screen immediately, and it was consistent. So
He did.
if these guys are doing that, I mean, I would be okay with it.
This the one I like. I like him. I like him. He's the second rated, and he's the 16th overall. They got him going to let's see, where is his name again? What was his name? His name is
But while you looking at
Imagine
that, one point I want to make about Dallas,
Kenneth Grant.
this is
Go
the
ahead.
kind of thing they keep doing. You know, they are going to give the Cowboys are going to give Michigan players a bad name because they just doing. I mean, it's Taco. You could watch 3 hours of Taco and you just say to yourself, I'm not really seeing nothing here.
And
When I watched film of Schoonmaker,
I'm
I
not
saw a
seeing nothing
big
here.
I saw a big player. I saw a big guy running 2 and 3 yard routes. Every time he caught the ball, he hit the ground or somebody was tackling him. There was just like I don't know what y'all saw in this player, and the same thing with Mozzie. When I watch Mozzie, you know how they have highlight film.
Hmm.
The highlight film for Mozzie and Schoon, I was like, these are highlights.
I know, right? Look at this. Look at this dude though. Number 78. Yeah, this.
I think that's who brought us in. Vops was talking about last
Oh
night.
man, if you got a chance to draft him, oh my god. No, oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
that's the player that they was. What's his name?
Whoo, his name is Grant, Kenneth Grant. You got to,
Yeah,
man, he is a beast. But to piggyback on what you was just saying, um, this is a straight up indictment on Will McClay or whoever on whoever else is in that room picking these players. I don't really care who. Everybody likes to argue, oh, it's the defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators picking these players. It's not Will McClay. No, that's not how it works. So they
well
might be, it might be Dan
he
Quinn.
pushed the board together.
Thank you. So it doesn't
Yeah,
matter if Dan Quinn and Rob Marinelli pick Taco. Taco should have never been on the sheet to begin with,
on
and
the board.
that's Will McClay's job. So if your board starts off with Taco and not TJ Watt, you're missing something. So no, I don't want to hear that. That's an indictment on Will McClay, and that's why on the NFL coaching transaction counter, when you type in for GM interviews, Will McClay is not listed anywhere because he is not getting interviews because
But people will say that he's not made himself available for interviews because I think his son is like a high school player. He didn't
mhm,
want to leave the area, but you finna. I think at some point the rubber is going to meet the road, and we're going to see if other teams really want Will McClay. But I
mhm,
think what's going to happen with Will McClay happening now is because of what's happened with our players here recently, the players that
mhm,
he's been drafting. You know, the
mhm,
NFL, they know what's happening with the league, and people right now, NFL teams are looking at Schoon and Mozzie and saying, we don't want the guy that drafted them.
mhm, mhm. Now let me ask you a question. So, with your if you picked high, would you want to pick Shador or Cam and sit them behind Dak, who just had an injury? His hamstring got tore off the bone, and he coming off a
That
season-ending injury.
that would be my priority. If we end up, let me say this: if we end up in the top 10 or at 10, my plan is I'm gonna try to figure out a way to get Shador, and if I gotta trade up, because like I said, if Dion wants that to happen, and Dion tell these teams that my son is not playing for you, Cleveland, he's not playing for you, Carolina, uh, then they can figure out a way to do it. So to answer your question, I absolutely would draft Shador and sit him behind Dak. And what people are gonna, well, not people, the Cowboys. they brainwashed the people in this area in the DFW to think you can't have a cap a $60 million quarterback and draft another quarterback. You absolutely can do it. You
I mean,
absolutely can.
what I want people to understand, because this is how I look at it, and when I look at it like this, it makes sense onto why you can do that. When I look at, if you have a good quarterback, and like Dak is a good quarterback, if you have a quarterback that like is an MVP runner up, or if you have one of those guys like Dak or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar or Josh Allen or my guy from the Bengals, Joe Burrow. If you have one of those type of quarterbacks and they can get it done, you should automatically be be saying to yourself, this guy is 60 million, 55 million, 50 million off top. That's how much it costs for those guys to play on your team. That's how much it costs. So that's just it. A good quarterback like that costs that money. It's just like if you go get a Benz, if you go get a new Benz, they cost. That's how much they are. They're $70,000, $80,000 cars. So either you're gonna have a Benz or you're gonna have a Toyota. So if you want a Benz, then you have to pay $80,000 for it. So it's not like that's how much it is. So don't tell yourself, okay, well, I got the $80,000 Benz. I can't go get me another car and just for when this
Hey,
car runs out.
hey, I got a question. So the Falcons, they paid Kirk Cousins.
Hmm.
Where did the quarterback from Washington get drafted? What pick was he?
Mm,
Your
oh,
guy. Was
oh,
he picked in the first round?
who is my guy?
He played for Washington, the quarterback.
But
He played for
oh
Washington, the college.
yeah. Let me see.
He played against Michigan, and
Michael Penix.
so what pick was he? Because the Falcons are showing you how you can do this, and remember, the NFL the draft picks are slotted, so they're gonna you already know what Shador is gonna make because it's slotted now.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not gonna
And
be paying Shador 60 million.
no. You're not gonna pay him 60 million. You probably will eventually.
Was Michael Penix dropped? Did he drop like down
He was
for
picked.
the?
No, he was picked number 8 overall.
Okay, so there you go. That's it. They just paid Kirk Cousins all that money, and they drafted Penix eighth. And
JJ McCarthy. He got picked 10th. He's not even starting in Minnesota right now.
so when the Atlanta Falcons signed Kirk Cousins and then drafted Penix eighth, we didn't have an earthquake. The
Nope.
nothing happened. So
And they
there you
just beat
go.
us. They just beat us, and they doing perfectly fine.
And what he gonna do? He gonna sit behind Kirk Cousins for a couple of years, and then they got their franchise quarterback. So yeah, there you go. So
Yeah, it doesn't.
they can't say they can't do it.
Yeah, you can't. You can't say you can't do it. I don't want to hear nothing about no cap because that's another thing that they'll say. We can't pay him all of the cap that he's gonna make it and have a $60 million quarterback.
Well, they can't say that either because you know why? Because they paid Dak and they got Trey
Trey
Lance on the
Lance
team, and he ain't even.
and
He's a third stringer.
just like yeah, you know what I'm saying. They
So yeah,
they
they dead to rights on that.
yeah, and that's why I'm under the opinion that a lot of these things we finna see some changes because they just dared to rights on all of these things. The rubber has met the road. A lot of these things you can't have any excuses for it because we've seen now that you were wrong and everyone
Hmm.
sees it. That's why it really makes me mad when they come on the air and they say stuff and they don't take ownership of it. Like the prime example was when Jerry said, "Oh, I just hate that I let Wade Phillips get out of here and he went and won a championship."
Stop.
That's not it, Jerry. That's not it. You had him here as a head coach. You didn't have him here as a defensive coordinator. So letting him go, y'all trying to make it seem like you let him go and he won a championship as a
And
head coach. He
and
didn't.
I do you one better. What they could have easily done, which would have been a smart move. They could have just hired Norv Turner as a head coach and Wade as the coordinator. I don't
Yeah.
think Norv Turner would have turned the job down. The reason that Norv Turner turned the job down is because Jerry also told him he wanted him to hire Jason. And he wanted Jason to call the plays. And
Mm-hmm.
Jason had no experience calling plays whatsoever.
So they do this. They do this nepotism thing, and it's not nepotism. I know
Mm-hmm.
nepotism is like your family, but they do this nepotism thing where it's just like Jason Garrett's dad was like a number one lead scout for the
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys. So they
Well, Jason played here too. Remember?
and Jason played here. He backed up Troy. So they knocked down bridges and walls and moved mountains to make sure that he played. And
And then
so,
and Norv Turner was kind of on record with some people.
mm,
He basically said, I don't even know why they think that Jason is like going to be this good coach. He actually was like telling people that he was like he didn't. He was telling people he had doubts about Jason Garrett just being that heavily involved in coaching,
mm-hmm,
and he ended
mm-hmm.
up being right.
He was right. I mean, like y'all got this. You have this thing where you say that well, we're gonna do a show on that too, because that is very that's very people gonna want to see that when you say the top 10 Jerry mistakes. You
Oh
literally,
yeah, I
and we're
got it.
gonna do that. Yeah, we're gonna do that. But
The
you can literally,
number one is Randy Moss, and a lot of people will say
mm,
it's when him and Jimmy broke up.
yeah,
That's number two on my list because the reason it's on number two on my list is because Jimmy was really a part of it. That
yeah,
wasn't just
it was
on
a fifty
Jerry.
fifty thing. Yeah. Um.
But Randy
Now,
Moss is number one.
okay, and then let me tell you about this. You really can do a top 100. We can do top 10, but you can do a top 100 because there's so many mistakes that he has made and they have made over the span of my lifetime. You just pointed out like five right there. You just pointed out like five: Jason Garrett, North Turner, Wade Phillips. The list continues. All the Butch Davis. We can just keep naming. Not hiring any. I mean, not interviewing Sean McVay now. None of them. We can just keep going. So it's just like you can just everything that they done over the last 28, 30 years has just not worked, and it's just
And the crazy thing about my not to cut you off, my list, the number one, my Randy Moss. You know who told them, who begged them to draft Randy Moss?
Jason Garrett's dad.
Yes, he told them, y'all are making a huge mistake.
Hmm.
He told them, you are making and the crazy thing is, the coach that talked Jerry into not taking him was Chan Gailey. Chan Gailey was like a good old boy from Georgia.
Hmm.
Chan Gailey didn't like certain types of players. You know what that means?
Hmm.
And the reason Chan Gailey really got fired is because he didn't like Michael Irvin. But see, he didn't understand the culture of our team and what Michael Irvin was like on our team.
Yeah.
So he came in the door and he had it out for Mike, the culture thing.
Well, Jimmy showed was with the culture.
Oh well, yeah, that's what our team
He
was.
came from Florida with them boys, so
Our team became the Miami Hurricanes.
pretty much
That's what happened.
the bad boys.
Yeah, and they was
And
doing a
see,
lot of bad stuff, but they was winning.
and then Jimmy and then Jason Garrett, he came in with the opposite philosophy. He was one of the good old
Right
boys,
kind of guys.
right kind of guys. And now you got Dak talking like a robot. But see, Dak lately, he been letting it go a little bit.
Well,
In
that got his money now. So when that comes back next year, what needs to happen is we can go ahead and wrap this coming up season. Dak, CD, and Micah, they need to just have a meeting amongst themselves, and they need to just say to themselves, "We got our money. We running this now." Of course, the new coach, is gonna have a lot of input and all that, but the new coach better understand these three guys right here. We need to get everything right with them,
mm-hmm. No,
and
yeah, no
just
doubt.
and offensively, your coach better come in with a good scheme because when these guys get paid, they're not gonna just sit back and just when Mike McCarthy leave, respect the Big Mike and all of that. But the next offense we run, it better be one that's getting CD wide open. That's getting our new guy we drafted wide open. That's Tolbert is going to be your third or fourth receiver. There's no reason for him not to be wide open because the other two guys are getting covered.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's gonna have to happen.
The Cowboys paid. The Cowboys paid. Ended up paying Trey Lance $6.2 million.
I thought it was more than that, so that's not bad.
No, it
But
was.
that money could have went to Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's my point. And then it could have been uh it was supposed to be up to 22 million, but they declined his 5th year option, I believe.
Yeah. So the biggest drawback from the Trey Lance deal is that you lost your 4th round pick, and that could have been Braylon Allen. It could have been another player, and so. But yeah, I just had an epiphany. The way they're gonna end up drafting, they're probably gonna be able to get that 4th back because they're gonna probably just trade back and pick up a 4th. So they'll probably be okay there.
Or you couple fives and move up.
And the 5 move up thing, it takes 2 to tango. We have to look at because they didn't have a 4th in this last draft, and they ended up with 2 threes, right? Because then we have a 1st, a 2nd, and 2 threes.
I don't think so.
I thought we traded back and got an extra 3.
I can find out.
Pull up our draft, and then we can wrap while you pulling it up. I thought we had a 1, a 2, and 3, and 2 threes.
I don't remember that.
So they'll probably be able to recoup that 4.
Yeah, but again, like I said, the problem with that is your 4 is
a high 4.
A high 4. So, yeah. I mean, so you giving up a high 3, which is really like a low 2. So what it doesn't. I understand what you're saying, but the damage is done. Mingo has to be. He has to start, and he has to be good in order for this to make sense. If this makes sense, only way this is gonna make sense is if he comes out and he's the number 2 receiver. Well, that's it.
On my team, if I'm building a team, I don't want a number 2 receiver. I want a 1A and a 1B.
Well, the only way this is gonna work is if he's 1B.
And I don't know if you think he's that.
I don't.
So
I'm gonna pull up his. Before we wrap, I'm gonna pull up his highlights, and you tell me what he is. I'm gonna pull him up. But I see Roman Wilson was drafted in the 3rd round.
Who is that?
Roman Wilson. These are some of the receivers that I was looking at last year. That I'm trying to see what they stack up against as far as a 4th round pick. What they look like.
Who did Roman Wilson play for in college?
I gotta figure it out.
Hey, is O'Dunes doing anything?
Romo Dunze. Now Roman Wilson played for Michigan. Remember, he was a white quarter. I think he was a white receiver. Yeah, he was he wasn't a white. He was a light skin. But Romo Dunze, I don't know what Romo Dunze is doing. I had him on my fantasy, but he's not there no more.
The white receiver that's turning the league up is the kid that played for Georgia, McConkey.
Yeah, Ladd. He played for the Chargers.
He balling.
Yeah. Now Javon Baker. Remember, I was hype about Javon Baker. He got drafted by the New England Patriots. He went to that team. He went to UCF. He was the one, and I liked him a lot. Remember, he was like to me he was like Debo, but a little bit shorter.
What are you doing?
I haven't heard anything about him, but he's a 4th round pick. So if our boy Mingo can be something like that, then
I'll pull up his highlights. The highlights I saw of Mingo, he was running kind of toward the sideline. He caught a ball. He was out of bounds. To me, his highlights kind of look like Schoon or Mozzie. The ones
that's crazy. So
I didn't see no.
I don't understand what.
When you got a highlight film, if it's not like a highlight, you got issues.
Yeah.
Your highlight film should be you just.
Now let's look at his. Now I can show you some college highlights, or you want to see NFL highlights?
I probably would rather see college because he hasn't done anything in NFL. He had 2 rookies ahead of him.
Man, that's bad. Okay, let me see. I got it pulled up here now. Yeah, that's bad, man. That's bad. And there ain't nothing that they can say to make it make sense either.
To me, that's him right there.
Yeah. So he was one of them ones in college. I remember him. I remember saying "woo" in college when it was his time. But you know, let's see. So stuff like that, I don't want to see stuff like that where he just wide open. Anybody would have made that
I
catch.
do.
Well, I mean, like I'm talking about as far as highlights goes. Like anybody would make that catch. Anybody would
That's
do that.
that's a highlight. What you just showed right there, Schoon and Mozzie didn't have that.
That's crazy.
It's the same play.
How he just faked that dude out and just totally
Yeah.
went by him.
Now we need to see another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, we need to see another one now. Don't play the same one 3 times in a row. That means something. See, I guess he's a burner because all of these is just, he running
Now
up the sideline.
that one right there, we've seen Tober do that.
Mm-hmm.
Tober could actually have about 5 touchdowns. He's been like wide open, and
So it
Dak
looks like he
hasn't
got
hit
some
him.
good hands. See what I'm saying? Watch this play. He caught
I
that
saw that.
ball.
I saw that.
Okay. So, but this is what we see. Okay, so this is what we seeing. We seeing him catch the ball contested a lot. So he wasn't just an absolute. He not a bust whatsoever. But like that right there was a hell of a catch. But like you said,
What I'm saying, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
David
not really.
Tolbert.
I'm seeing Gallup. I'm seeing Tolbert. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really seeing no. Now this one right here is probably one. But that was a good play. That's
Mm-hmm.
not that play right there. Gallup wouldn't have did that. That dude almost caught him right there.
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
look, I would say he could be on my team for sure.
oh yeah, no doubt. I don't know if
But
I
I'm
would have traded a fourth
no,
round pick for him.
you traded a 4th round pick when D Hop went for a 5th.
But his response to that is gonna be if they had to pay D Hop a lot of money.
And his age. Now the one I do like, he's 23 years old. So he will be younger. He will be the youngest receiver on our team. So I do like that.
Yeah, he's gonna be here for a while. At least
But
another 2 years.
But the question you got to look at is if we go to the Ben Johnson offense, if we go to a true West Coast like Shanahan,
Oh,
where is he gonna fit?
he gonna fit in one of their offenses because you can look at what he's doing. He got good hands. He can catch.
Yeah.
Now let's look at his. Let's look at his. He got good route running capabilities. So let's look at his.
Now people gonna learn this watching our show. I'm not a route guy.
Oh, I am. You're not a route guy, but I am because to me, I'm a rat guy too. But you're more of a rat guy, but I'm a rat guy.
I want to know if you make plays, what you do when you get the ball,
Right.
how you got there. I'm not that big on that.
I get it, but it's just something special about Amari Cooper tearing somebody ACL from running a route.
See, I'm more like Dez. Everybody was saying he don't run route, but yeah, he got 78 touchdowns. Okay.
That's because he's a body. That's because that's what kind of receiver he was.
He's a playmaker.
Yeah, he'll body you. He'll body you. Okay, so
he was breaking tackles too.
Yeah, for sure. He'll out physical you.
And the people don't remember this. Dez could have really been an all-pro punt returner. He did it for a while, and they got him off the punt return because he kept getting hurt. But he was terrific.
I remember when he came. I remember when they was trying to tell him to come out. Like they was trying to tell him like get out the game. And remember he was like ignoring them, and then he took it to the house
on a punt.
On that play. Yeah, on a punt. They was trying to flag him to get him off the field because the guy that was supposed to be returning the punt, Dez, kind of deboed him out the spot. Was just like, nah, I'm doing this. And then they was just like, no, and then but before you know it, the ball was in the air and Dez ran that punt back.
So this is him right here at Carolina.
Yeah, this is him right here in Carolina. This is NFL highlight. So let's just see what he got against NFL defenses. So as you can see what I mean when I say he was wide open? That's a good play.
To me, he looked faster on his college tape on that right there, but this is the one.
Yeah. So you can tell that they doing the same play 2 or 3 times because he really don't have.
No, he didn't have any other highlights. He
Mm-mm.
didn't even play. He had two guys, two rookies beating him.
So I'm with you. I kind of see Gallup. I kind of see Tolbert. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
see.
now that play right there. I like the way he took the ball and turned up the field. He looked like a running back right there. I like that.
Man, I like all of this. I just don't know. I just don't know about fourth round like it.
I don't like the
But
4th round. They could have got him for a fifth or a sixth, and then some people were saying he's gonna get cut. So I mean,
but
look, I would say this: what I'm seeing from him, I would absolutely have him on the field over Brooks. Uh, now I believe me, what we seeing, Flournoy can do all of this. I
mhm.
think.
Oh yeah, me too. So now that's what I was saying. From what I just looked at on Wikipedia in the NFL draft, I didn't see any fourth round picks that look this decent. I didn't see any.
Yeah,
Javon,
yeah.
so but and then another thing I want to say that's kind of lends to a positive note also is if you have a West Coast offense and you got somebody calling plays like Shanahan and you have
Or Ben Johnson.
or Ben Johnson calling plays, and you have this guy, Flournoy, and CD, you in good shape.
Yeah, you in good shape.
Yeah, you in good shape. You got
But
some.
but but I would say this to take it further. If we get in our draft pick and we at the ninth pick and that receiver from Auburn is there, I'm taking him.
Yeah,
Now, did you pull up highlights from him?
I haven't found
Well,
who you're
you,
talking
we can
about.
do it for the next show.
Okay,
He's like 6'5". What?
okay,
Go. So tonight you need to watch Vach and Brian Browder from last night.
I'll go watch it. Are you
He's
sure
like,
are you sure he's from Auburn?
I think it's Auburn.
Because he not on Tankathon.
Well,
Not from Auburn.
well, he had on Auburn colors, so maybe it's not Auburn. You can go back and watch it, unless
What
it's like
teams have Auburn?
Arizona or something.
What that's
They like
what team is Auburn? What team is Auburn? I think I know who you talk about now, and it's not Auburn. It is Arizona.
he's 6'5".
I don't know, but he like the number one receiver on the draft, and he from
Yeah,
Arizona.
he's balling.
Let me see.
A lot of guys that are tall like
That's
that.
who you talking about. His name is Tetaroa McMillan.
Yeah, he's like a. He look like he might be Hispanic.
That's who you talking about. I can play him right now. I got him pulled up.
Yeah, this dude right here.
Let me
If
pull
he
him up.
there, if we can't get Shador, one of the Michigan boys, that's who I'm taking.
This guy.
That's him. That's him.
Yeah.
That's Arizona.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I say it's Arizona.
This kid right here. I mean, he's running fast, running through people, running around people.
Mm-hmm.
One-handed catches.
He just jump off the screen right now.
Yeah, he was the play they showed last night.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing right there. Did you see that?
That's what.
Now I ain't seen nobody do that. He just stopped. Wow. That was cold. Look at this. He just stopped. Ugh. Now that's cold.
He like 6'5".
That was cold. He had to chunk that thing because he went way out there.
Yeah, he's dynamic.
Mm.
Now my thing about players like this, these are the kind of players that we need to be getting, but these players are ending up on these teams that we competing against.
They end up at Washington. I mean, he'll end up in New York.
Yeah, or with San Francisco.
Oh my
And
god.
he's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this
Ooh.
catch.
You know what Jared and them gonna say? We just paid CD.
Oh my God. No, man.
We
No.
just paid CD and we just paid CD and we traded a 4th round pick for a Mingo. We don't have any more we don't have any more power to allocate to that position.
Mm-mm.
Ain't that what they said? We don't have any more. It's only so much we can allocate to that position. Well,
My players. I'm coming out of this draft with Shadur. I'm coming out with McMillan, some kind of way.
I'm telling you, okay, I'll go ahead and wrap because but oh my, look at this. But that's what I was saying. I was saying to myself, you know how many drafts I did last year. You know how many drafts I did last year. How many mock drafts I did, and
So what they got him going in the tankathon?
uh, they got him going to. They got him going to the Panthers,
What pick?
number 4 overall.
There you go.
And they got Shador going right after him, and Cam going right after him.
Well, my draft target is Shadur or this kid right here. I'm not coming.
Or Cam.
I think I would take him over Cam.
No, I wouldn't.
You like
do
Cam that much?
I do. Yeah. And
so Cam is not the kid that's playing for the Colts right now. That's having issues.
Anthony Richardson? No.
Okay,
And then Cam on top of that, it's really the position that I'm looking at. You need a young dynamic quarterback on this team. So you need a young dynamic quarterback, not a pocket passer that can't run without tearing his hamstring. Yeah. You mean to tell me that, you see, if you got line issues or if you got whatever, Cam or Shadur will make things happen on this team right here. It would still be conversions.
The kid we just saw,
yeah,
that's the next Randy Moss.
You got to take him. If he's there, you got to take him. You got to take him. You really good for years to come with either one of them. With Cam, him, or Shador. You good. You good. But I mean, that kid right there. Only reason why I'm reluctant on taking a receiver now, if the consensus says that he's the next Randy Moss, I'm taking him over both of them. If that's what everybody else say. But what I see a lot is these receivers be world beaters in college, but then they come to the pros and they don't look the same. Like the last 3 that looked the same was our guys, CD, Jamal, and Jefferson.
He's in the same category with them.
Right. Malik Neighbors is awesome.
Malik Neighbors is not as good as this guy right here.
Hey, if he better
Malik Neighbors is not in a neighborhood with Chase and Jefferson and CD.
You don't think so?
I don't.
You don't think he will be? Because we can't. Because when he was playing against us, it just seemed like he would beat us by himself.
I didn't see that.
Hey, every time he got man, I'm telling you, go rewatch the Giants game. We almost lost the game.
Diggs played really good against him.
He did, but that dude was balling. So, but I get what you're saying. If he's the next Randy Moss, then yeah, I say we should take him. But I also think that Shador and Cam, they are good enough to take this team to a Super Bowl and win it. That's what I think.
Yeah. So my targets would be Shador, Cam, and McMillan.
Yeah. Those are my targets.
And then if you have to fall back and you can't make it happen, and then you get the tackle from Michigan, but.
Well, I want offense. I want weapons. My defense. I mean,
we need weapons.
We need weapons. We need skill players. Top. We need high skill. We need players that when they get the ball, they can score on any given play.
That's and those just saw.
Yeah, like we just saw. Those 3 guys. Those 3 guys right there change your franchise. So, and the Cowboys, they just don't draft those guys for some reason. They just.
Well, the biggest mistake on my list is they had a guy just like that, and they let Chan Gailey talk him out of taking him. Chan Gailey.
And your number 1 scout is telling you to take him. And you listen to Chan Gailey instead.
And they would have won another Super Bowl with Randy Moss.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. So, Whew, it's been a long one, guys. We really had a lot that we had to say today, and we this is another one of our our better shows. We did really good today, so we appreciate all the love and support that we getting. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And tomorrow we got the Eagles now. Now Dak ain't playing. Micah's coming back.
Micah is playing.
From what I heard, he was.
Man, what I tell you right now, do not put him at edge and leave him there. Hey, promote our Facebook page so that you get everything straightened out on that.
Yeah, and I did, and I added you
Oh,
to the
okay.
thing too. So you got
To
to
our
check your
Facebook.
you got to check your
So how do they
messages or
get to our
something.
Facebook page?
Just type in Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks on Facebook search engine, or just type in Gen to Gen Cast, GEN, the number two, GENCAST on Facebook, and it'll pop right up. And I've been making some posts on there. So y'all go make sure y'all like our Facebook, and y'all make sure y'all subscribe to our Facebook. We got some subscribers on our Facebook. We got a bit, quite a few.
I'm gonna try
So
to get some of my classmates to subscribe to our channel. So shout out to David W. Carter, class of '82. We're doing a class reunion 60 party tomorrow. I missed the thing we had this summer, so I'm gonna go and check that out. And so I'm
that
a
should
true
be fun.
I'm a true cowboy for life. I'm a Carter cowboy and a Dallas cowboy for life.
I don't want to tell y'all what I am, if that's the case. 'Cause I'm a DeSoto Eagle, and I'm a North Texas Eagle.
Yeah,
So
DeSoto be balling.
DeSoto be balling. They balling right now. They like the they balling. We got Texas is a
So would
football
this be a
sport.
3P for them?
It will be. It will be. Texas is a football state. It's a football country, and that's why Jerry Jones and them not even from Texas. They from Arkansas. So we know football here because this is a football state. Okay. So, but anyways, you all make sure you like it, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell, and y'all stay tuned. Now, what we gonna do is we gonna be posting when we're gonna go live. We figured out how to go live, and so what we'll do is we'll schedule our next live so you all will know in advance when we're gonna go live. That way, if you want to come on, and if we have enough people at the end of the live, we'll post a link and let some of you all hop on and chop it up with us if we have enough people watching. So y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for new content. We have 9 more games to go with this season. The Cowboys is a 24/7 thing, so we always got stuff to talk about. We always got stuff to talk about, and good points to make. And so um, you know unfortunately, the season isn't going the way we want it to, but it's still all good. And it's ebbs and flows in the NFL season, so it ain't over yet. And the fat lady ain't singing. And until that, even when the fat lady do start singing, we still gonna have stuff to talk about. So y'all make sure y'all continue to follow and continue to like and comment and support. And we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.